Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of Paranormal Plus. Hello. Hopefully everybody had a good Halloween. Jim, Camera at Dawn. Catherine, hello there. Let's see who else we got in the chat. Yeah. So I guess everybody survived Halloween, which is good. I'm glad. Away from the keyboard. I love my keyboards. Mine glow in the dark, infrared, not infrared, but all the violet colors. Standing Stones, welcome. I was reading your stories last show. Hello, Eric. Welcome, Eric. So let's see here. Judy Greenfield. Hello, Judy. Welcome to the show. And Crystal. Hello, Crystal. So we have a surprise guest that's coming onto the show here momentarily, but between that, we're going to keep you occupied, Dee. And Luna, we can't forget about Luna. Welcome, Luna and Rebecca. Hopefully everybody's doing well. So how was your Halloween?
Mine was very, very, very good. I hung out with the grandkids over the weekend and hung out with my wife. That's pretty much it, and did a little bit of band practice, and just been it was really good. Nice and relaxing, actually. Yeah, we have tons of blow-ups in our yard, and I finally took them all down. I have like a 20-foot tall mummy out there and some other, probably about 15, I think, blow-ups. It's just ridiculous. But it was cool. All the kids got walking down the street, neighbors, stuff like that, like checking them out. They liked it.
Well, I was watching, we were talking about not watching the news. I was watching the news in Lexington, Kentucky. They were having people still in the yard ornaments, and people were crying because some of these yard ornaments were like $200-$300 a pop, and they had them on their Ring doorbell cameras. People jumping out of these minivans and cars and running up into the yards and still I'm like, why would you do that?
I agree with you, and that was one of the concerns. Like that big mummy, just straight up, it was $200, right? And I just always wanted something that big in front of the house, because it like towers over the house. But I put it back in kind of a corner where everybody could see it when they're driving by. But they would have really had to go through the other stuff to get to that one. But that was a concern, a legitimate concern. It's unfortunate the day and age that we live in that people do that. And I'll tell you what, the blow molds, if you ever see those old Halloween blow molds, those are $100, $150 each that they're worth. And, people still put them out there.
They were taking those in Lexington, Kentucky. And I'm like, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I'm like, why?
Yeah, karma will catch up to those people. I believe so.
And these poor kids, in some of these decorations, the neighborhood, Penny Van, who's the man with me today? The dog got another man behind me. Are you trying to already look? Not only do I have my holy water, I've got my anointment oil too. So yes, it comes from the Secular Church from Bethlehem. But man, she said that, and I got my lower right side got a cold chill. I don't know if that's coincidental or that's just mind over matter, but
Yeah.
that's wild. But I mean, these kids in these neighborhoods, it's a tradition. And what's that one movie? I can't remember. Somebody has to correct me. Is where the neighbors move in. They're like, "Hey, you gonna decorate your yard?" And they're like, "No." They're like, "You have to." We all do. And they're like, "No, we're not gonna." And they go, "Oh yeah,
Oh
you got to come over to the house and grab some of our old stuff." Remember that movie?
no, but I remember Christmas with the Cranks was kind of like that.
Yeah,
They
something.
they decided to quit that year. They wanted to go on a cruise instead of decorate their house and spend money on Christmas. I do recall that.
So, but and they were. I mean, it's just like, ladies and gentlemen, I'm like, you know what? I don't know. It's just awful. So I thought Grizz called him D. Oh my gosh. No, I had no D in the chat room. I was saying hello to D. Hopefully, I don't have another guy in my studio. I
Yeah,
know
no kidding.
other call.
Hey, if you guys are tuning in for Jenny Coles, she had about 10, 15 minutes ago texted me, said that she's sick. She actually having some issues right now, so she will not be on tonight. So just want to let you guys know if that's what you're tuned in for. Hopefully you're tuned in for me and Grizz, but
Yeah, but we got a special guest getting ready to attend. She will not disappoint. You all love her, so I probably just gave her away. And yes, he's on a unicycle. What? In my studio, he's riding a unicycle? Man, wow. Wake up, Gary. Did Gary fall asleep? Yahoo! Welcome, Lauren. Lorna. I always forget to say the A on the end. But no. So during the Halloween, the veil is thin. Allegedly, it's what all the psychics tell me and everything. So that's very interesting. I did not get to go out and put my other 24 cameras out like I was supposed to do. I'm putting an additional 6, 7 more on top of 24. So now I'm going to have over 30 some cameras to do this weekend.
Oh,
And
man.
yeah, so I was wanting to catch her stuff before Halloween, but I still got cameras out in the field. Have you seen some of the pictures I caught?
No, I've seen a few,
So
but not all of them.
so did you see the lead spirit ones?
I believe so.
Okay, all right.
I do believe so.
All right, yeah, but anyway, that's supposed to be a. And she's laughing. Are you laughing about the guy on the unicycle? I mean, I got a mental picture, a guy running around in my studio on a unicycle now. So, but I was wanting to see if anything, and I was told by some of the psychics that I'm going to catch more after 7 days after I put the cameras out. But I'm going to saturate them. I'm going to leave them out there for over a month and see what I capture. This time, I'm going to download them in a specific way.
Mm-hmm.
So if something gets corrupt, I'm going to have a backup of a backup. So that way I can show you some other stuff that I capture besides Lord knows what it was last time. We still don't know what it is. But my daughter, did I tell you my daughter will not go back out in the woods with me?
Oh, really?
No. Because I did not call and tell her what I caught. Because I didn't tell anybody but a couple of people at first. I'm like, I don't know what I got. They're like, what is it? I'm like, hell if I know. They're like, well, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, I don't know what it is. So, and I showed them. They're like, what is that? And I'm like, I just told you I don't know what it is. So my daughter was like, Dad, you did not tell me. And I'm watching one of your shows laying in bed. And no, I'm not going back out in those woods. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, you can't blame her now, right?
So, especially with electronics not working and stuff. So, Grizz, you crack me every time I see you on here. Well, I'm glad I cracked somebody up.
I read something interesting today about around Halloween time, like a week before Halloween to a couple days after. Kennels, sorry, my dog's barking. Kennels, I guess shelters for cats. They will not let anyone adopt a black cat
Yes,
during
that
that
is a
time.
fact.
Yeah, because for sacrifice and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
never knew that.
because
Never realized that.
no, because people were actually in the chat room saying that our shelters in our area will not allow that to happen. And I was like, you got to be joking. And I'm like, people really still go. I mean, people are crazy. I mean, I thought I dealt with crazy stuff on the PD, but that's just crazy.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
I don't know. So, but I wanted to capture stuff, during Halloween and stuff in the woods. Uh, it got down in the 20s here in northern Kentucky.
Yep.
So I don't know what it did over where you're at. So
No, it's about the same. It's been really, really cold the last last 3 days, 3 or 4 days in the 20s at night and barely in the 40s during the day. This weekend though, it's going to be really nice. So it's getting the 60s, high 60s.
That's why I'm going to go out this weekend and try to put up the rest of the camera. It just takes so long, and because it's hunting season, I bought extra rechargeable batteries, and I bought cable locks to lock them down to the trees. So that was some more expenses because it is hunting season. Nobody's supposed to be hunting. I don't think anybody hunts in the area, but just in case I get one of those stragglers that's going to sneak in to get a deer or two, and they see a camera, I don't want them to just be able to take it off a tree.
I don't blame you there.
So I had to, spend some more money out of the pocket, which, in the long run, it's worth it. So,
Definitely.
Jeremy York. So, but as long as I don't get a girl with black hair and a nightgown like The Ring, I'm okay. Because that's what I thought I was going to capture.
Well, they did tell you
the girl in The Ring.
They did tell you 7 days after, though, didn't they? 7 days.
And what was weird is that when I first put out the cameras right before, the psychics told me, like, Rizzy, you're going to get something. And I was like, ooh. And then Peter Marks, that famous psychic medium that does all the ones, the Hollywood movies, the actors and actresses that he reads for.
Oh,
really? Now this is, remember the one with the alleged spirits that I got? Now, nobody knew that I had captured something, the shadow in the woods, in the mist. Nobody. And right before the show, he was like, yeah, so what do you think about those pictures of the Indian? And I'm like, do what? And he even said it on the air. And I was like, nobody knew what I captured. And he was like, they were just curious of what you were doing out in the woods, and they wanted to come and check you out and see what you were doing. And I'm like, So, and that's when I went ahead and disclosed them because, it's just hard to explain something like that. So that's why I start showing the pictures, let people form their own opinion. Imagine getting something that looks like the Planet of the Apes. Let me tell you something. After the first set of pictures, after the first 3 days, I put out the camera and getting a picture of whatever walked around the camera, then came back that night or the night after and walked around the camera with that fur or that hair. That did not make me like second guess myself being out. Those are the woods that I grew up in, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what freaked out my daughter, because she's like, Dad, those cameras. She knew how the cameras were off the ground because she was with me when we went out and retrieved the cameras. So it was not like they were at the base of the tree. These were like 5.5. I mean, and I don't have a camera in handy, but they were almost coming up to here on me at the bottom of the camera. And most of the cameras you can see when I was opening them up to turn them off, to turn them off, to take them off the tree and put them in the bag. So that's very interesting. So, and the woods that I put these in are very old woods too. So, and Indians did run the land back then. So,
Yeah, no, I'm glad I wasn't with you because my Indian spirit that used to follow me might have come back around.
well, you know what? I was told by two psychics to take cornmeal and tobacco with me when I go back out and do it as an offering in that one
Offering, yep.
card.
Yep.
So, but I was trying to be funny. I was like, well, I don't want to take tobacco because I may want to smoke,
Yeah.
because I haven't smoked in years. So, but I mean, a lot of people do that. And especially, when they go ghost investigating, we've seen this on TV when they go out in the country, they do take tobacco and
Yep.
other sacred stuff for indigenous people and tribes for offerings.
When I was waking up and seeing that Indian at the end of my bed, like once every 6 or 7 months, I'd wake my wife up because I'd just be like scared to death and not saying anything, just one of those things, and she'd kind of like wake me up. I was like in a trance or something. And then when I went to the Mineral Springs here in Alton, had a spiritual healer working with me and going through it, and she had talked about being an Indian person. Well, she said to offer tobacco,
Right.
and make an offering. And honest to goodness, have not, praise the Lord, hallelujah, whatever, have not had a visit from them since. And that's been probably 3.5 years.
Wow. That's amazing.
Definitely. So, if you guys, that's my advice. If you ever run into something with an Indian kind of a conjuring in your house or following you or something, give them an offering,
They do. They always recommend that. And I heard people that have been visited by tribes or Indians or indigenous people, the shamans tell them to give offerings in the house.
Yep.
And out there on the land. So now when I do the spiritual warfare, the kits that I send out, and just because you call and want one, yeah, you can get one, but if you call me up and you say that you need one because of A, B, and C, then we're going to have a conversation. Because 9 times out of 10, somebody's told you the wrong information. And like I told you before, these people that watch the shows off TV goes over and investigates someone's homes. Next thing you know, they tell them, "You got demons." And I'm like, why do you have to tell the homeowners that?
Oh yeah.
And then they freak out. Then they call me up and they want about all this holy water. I'm like, why do you need all this holy water and stuff? They're like, because so and so came over and investigated. And I'm like, investigated what? I'm like, just because you have paranormal activity doesn't mean they're evil. I mean, it could be a loved one trying to get your attention. And I'm like, who just recently passed? And they're like, my aunt did. And I'm like, was that in the past 65, 70 days? They're like, how do you know? I'm just answering my questions. Yeah. And then we go down the list, and next thing you know, and then it's usually a loved one that's just passed, letting them know that, hey, I'm here and so forth. So, but yeah, and it's just people need to slow up. And just because you see what you see on TV doesn't mean that you ought to reduplicate that when you go to people's homes. And we talk about this a lot on different shows. And the homeowners, the people that don't know better, right? Because they see the same thing. Mm-hmm. And when something goes bump in the house, the first thing they want to jump to is something paranormal, which it may not be paranormal. It can be the house settling, it can be the pipes, a plethora of things that you have to go through and process, debunk, and that's very important.
I agree. I was scrolling through Facebook the other day, and I saw a lot of comments out there from a lot of people that are big in the paranormal field, saying that it's been proven, I guess, on TV, or they were just tired of it not being real anymore. And people that were commenting to it were like, "Are you talking about TV? Are you talking about this?" And they're like, "Yeah, they've gone. I guess somebody went overboard with it." You hear anything about that? Anybody out there hear anything about that?
So that's the thing. Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, our guest actually had to go to the emergency room, Yolanda, and we're supposed to have a surprise guest, but our surprise guest is actually doing an interview. So I'm reaching out to her again. She's supposed to be jumping on. She's got the link. But so I do. I think they go overboard. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of things we see on TV is for entertainment. And, and it takes them hours and hours to get that 47 minutes or 38 minutes of footage to get us entertained with the commercials, right? Because, and I know ghost investigations or ghost hunts, however you want to call it, is boring.
Yeah.
It's not like when you go fishing, you catch a fish. I mean, there's times I go fishing, I don't catch nothing 3 or 4 hours, and now you have to move and still don't catch nothing.
Yep.
So, it's just one of those things, it's not like you flip a switch or something. So, and it's there. So
yeah, I was just kind of surprised, that those type of names are actually posting that, because it's their belief in it, but to me, the way it was posted almost wasn't said that it was a TV show until somebody got on the comment sections about it, right? So it almost seemed as it came out as a negative against the community at first, until you open up the comments on them. And it wasn't just one. I mean, there was probably 5 or 6 of them that I was really surprised that posted something like that. I'm glad that they do call them out. I'm glad they're being honest about it. But, it just seemed kind of, it could have been construed the wrong way if a person just scrolling and doesn't hit the comment side of it. They might think, oh man, that guy's a pretty big name in there, and he doesn't even believe, that anything's real. They might not understand that they're talking about a TV show. So hopefully people learn from that, and can make sure that they explain it the right way. If they have a problem or a question, anything like that, hopefully they can make sure they understand. Hey, they don't even have to say the name of the TV show, but hey, concerning a TV show, they're making it look like it's not real for certain, and I'm done with that TV show. Instead of saying paranormal does not exist or isn't existing, I forget the exact phrase that they use, but it came out like, whoa, wait a minute, you're saying you're one of the main people in it, and you're saying something like that, So.
Well, I don't usually allow any of the guests or show hosts to name any shows or anybody or any investigating groups, because I don't want any of us to show any negativism or anybody being negative when it comes to people or organizations, for what they do or how they do things. Whatever somebody else does is on them, not me.
Yep.
But I just want to set reality to people out in the field, because that's what they're used to, is what they see on TV. And the TV actually opened a lot of doors for a lot of people. It brought all of us dorks out of the closets and got us involved and got a lot of people talking. It's more of an open conversation than it used to be 5-6 years ago. So, I do applaud for that. And I do appreciate that, but putting somebody else down, no, I don't want no part of that. What's your thoughts?
No, I'm the same way. Like I said, the only thing I was saying on that, I didn't want them to call out the TV show, which I'm glad they didn't, but they should say, hey, it was, I just think they might have been easier on people, a new member trying to get in the community to view it. Might have been easier for them just to say, hey, a TV show I watched was like this, and they've gone, to where it's definitely unbelievable or something like that. I was just really surprised, but I agree with you 100%. There's no reason to call anybody out. That's why I didn't say any names or anything like that. Right. I just said people in the community, because we're all part of the community. We should all be.
And I'll tell you, and I'll be the first one to tell you, there's some shows I watch because it's funnier than hell.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, how's he going to react to this one, right?
Yep.
And because there's some humor involved, but there are some good takeaways, right? And people have their own opinion about provoking. Now there are
Yeah.
certain instances where I may use prayer wise to provoke, but you can tell my Amazon shipments are coming in. It's like Alexa keeps going off. That's all my stuff for this weekend.
There
But
you go.
I use prayers to invoke, right?
Yeah.
And I have prayers to break curses. I mean, you do not believe the plethora of prayers I have to cover a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it then what alleged witch can put on you, I've got to take off of you. So, and a lot of that stuff I don't believe in anyways, all the black magic and voodoo and all that other stuff. I mean, that
Yeah.
stuff goes back a long time, right?
Yep.
So, believe what you want to believe. We'll leave it at that. But the fake spaghetti that gave me does the same thing, right? The spaghetti in the can. I used to eat that when I was a kid.
One of the things I like about the shows is the equipment.
Yeah.
Watching them use the equipment, introducing new equipment. That's pretty cool. Now, I haven't watched any. I haven't watched a paranormal show in probably a month or two right now because I just haven't been home. But I remember when the SOS started getting big, and I was watching. I think it was Zach Bagans and that group, and when they were showing it, I thought, oh my God, that's a pretty cool piece of equipment, And then all these other people coming out with these barometric readings and stuff like that on their equipment. It is very interesting, and what better place to advertise, of course, on a TV show or something like that. So that's definitely good for that. And like you said, it takes. We've talked to many people. It takes a week to get 8 hours, half hour worth of footage to be entertaining for people. I couldn't imagine going to the same place every day or every night for 8 hours a night recording just to try to catch something, like you said earlier, it can be boring, very boring when you go on those things. Everybody thinks it just magically happens, but it don't
Yeah,
matter.
I wish it does, right? Or wish it did. That's like, I had this special prayer book, and it really limited the activity in the studio, and I'm talking a lot. I mean, it almost completely ceased. Now I still get the cat balls to go off, the REM pod not as much, but I do not have the poltergeist activity like I used to, where I would have it filmed on cameras or during the live shows where my backdrops would collapse and stuff would be flying around on camera. I don't have that anymore. But it's just interesting to see what does work and what does not work. And the technology from 10 years ago to today is such amazing what they have. And I like to see how they use the equipment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they like to use because they use it in other shows or they don't use it again, and that tells me they didn't like that. So, and just because they didn't like it doesn't mean we may not like it or somebody else may not like it, right?
Oh yeah.
So, and I still, because the people ask me all the time, what do you like? Well, I've got a plethora of tools.
Yeah.
I never can have enough. I wish my budget was endless, and that's the truth because I want everything I can to validate and to prove people what is out there. And when we do these investigations and in live shows, we want to show them what we capture, but you still got a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
And you don't want that, right? Because you don't want stuff that's boring for people to sit there and go, really? This is it? And it happens, ladies and gentlemen. So, you want it to where you got your attention and, what's going to happen around the next corner or you go in that room or what's going to happen when you turn on that piece of equipment, what's going to come through.
Yeah.
You don't know. Just like LBL, Land Between the Lakes, that's very interesting. I was down there, right down there with that conference. and they went to an old abandoned hospital, which we didn't get to go because Sylvia had homework. I wanted to go so bad, oh so bad.
Yeah.
But our hotel room was at the other side of where we were supposed to be, and she had schoolwork and everything else. So, and like FDL just said, it's very hard to produce an episode. It really is.
You know, we a couple of years ago, we did that paranormal. We did a hunt, a public hunt. We had like, I think 15 people come with us to a mansion around the area that, you know, in Alton, Illinois is pretty haunted area, you know, and this place is famous, McPike Mansion. It's famous in the central states, you know, and being the host, four of us five of us, my wife is the camera person, you know, being the host, it was like you wanted everything to happen, you know. You got all these people coming. We didn't charge more than what cost all of us to do it. Everybody pitched in the same amount of money. We didn't charge to make any profit, anything like that, right? I think it was like $400 to do it. So it cost everybody like $30 each or something crazy like that.
Right.
But you get in there and you're like, where you at? You know, because you got like a 6-hour time frame. You're bringing all these people to entertain, but you also don't want to fake anything. So it's got to be real. And you're like, where you at?
Right.
Come on, where you at? So, you know, the spirit boxes are always great because they always, if you're using them right, you're always going to make some type of connection. You know, we had actually that night, we had a lot of stuff on the REM pod, which was awesome. And then the SLS camera, there's very little energy in that house, in that mansion, because there's no electric upstairs and very little downstairs, but we had got a lot of stuff on the SLS camera, which, you know, that's to each their own on what they believe with the SLS camera. And then, you know, just
well, let's talk about the SLS camera, because that keeps getting brought up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the SLS camera, you know, it's amazing how that device works. So I'll give it credit for that.
Yes.
Now, it picks up something, because it maps a human body out. And that's what it was for, is for those video games on the Xbox. Because I never forget when it first come out, everybody was breaking TVs and everything else because they were throwing the remotes and they weren't attached with the Wii's and so forth. But the Xbox, you would dance, you would punch and everything else, and it would map out the human body. And it was a stick formation. So does it work? Yes, it does. Now, a lot of people say, now I don't have one. Now, a lot of people say that it picks up a lot of false positives. How's that possible?
Well, so I do believe that it works, right? I have, to me, I believe it's based off of energy, and this is Tracy Inman opinion. This is not nothing
That's why I'm asking.
So I can take it into a room and there'll be a fan, just a regular fan that's on a stand. You know what I mean? You got the big round fan right there,
right,
adjustable up and down, not plugged in, nothing. I could point it right at it and it's going to show a human figure because it's catching it right there. And I can do that in any house I've been in. I've done it in about 5 or 6 houses. Somebody else, however it worked out like that, right? There's a fan in there. I'll point it at that to make sure that the stick figure is working. You know what I mean? So then when I started thinking about that, well, if I'm pointing at that to see if the stick figure is working, what else can I point it at? So I'd point it at a chandelier. A chandelier will still pull out a stick figure and it'll still be moving a little bit, stuff like that. But when I believe it works is when I'm pointing it somewhere where there's absolutely no energy. And then again, the fans don't have any energy, but they do have a shape of something, right? Like a tree. A tree has a shape. Everything has a shape. But if you're pointing it right at a wall where you know that there's no energy behind it and there's no shape there, and you're picking up something, because I've had that happen a few times, that's when I believed it was actually picking something up that wasn't, or that could be proof that something was there. That's my opinion. But I've done it too many times where I pointed it at still inanimate objects, and it'll show the guy waving at you, right? It'll show one or two of them depending where you're at. And if you hold it in the same place long enough on those inanimate objects, that's when they show up. It won't catch it right then, but when it zooms in on it and finally conjures it up, the image, it catches that image. But I do believe it works when you are showing it at when you're showing it at nothing, and there's nothing in the walls, no wiring in the walls, no plumbing in the walls. And I've been in those situations where I do believe it works there. And I could be wrong. Like I said, it's my opinion. I'm not an expert on it. But, without going over it again, it's basically if it's an inanimate object and it's picking it up because it has a shape, then it's going to always pick up those inanimate objects. But if you're placing somewhere where there's nothing there, you're in a dark room, absolutely nothing on the wall, there's nothing behind that wall, I believe you're picking something up at that point in time. What are your thoughts, Grizz?
So that makes sense. So it sounds like the microprocessor is trying to process a human figure out of something. So that makes sense, right? So it's processing that. So Eric says no, Tracy's right. So yeah, so that makes sense.
So he said I was right.
So yeah, so what? If you take my wrench, I'll cry. If that doesn't work, Grizzy, I'll be getting some specially designed dolls in the mail. I'm not taking nobody's wrench. But no, I do. I think the processor's trying to map out a human figure, and that makes sense. But if you said to that figure, wave your arm, and it waves, and it's an intelligent response, now we got a totally different situation on our hands.
I don't disagree with you. Again, if it's not on an inanimate object.
I'm talking if we're shooting in a room with no furniture.
Yes.
And a stick figure just like pops up and it's standing there. Yep. And I'm like, if you can see me or hear me, raise your right arm or hand, and it does it. Yep. And it intelligently responds to a few questions and it responds that way. I think you got some good evidence.
I agree with you 100% on that. But you'll notice if you point it at, and I'm going to use that example again, the fan, it will still be somewhat moving. Now you can ask it to wave its hand, but it's always going to be doing something like this because for some reason those things just don't stand still.
Right, because the processor sounds like is trying.
Yeah, it's just trying to pick it up,
process it to make it as a human or
it is
a person, I should say.
It is a very, very cool tool, and people, whenever we were doing our lives, most of the a lot of the comments we got when we put was, "Hey, get that SLS out. Let's check that out." So people like it; they like to see it. But I'm not one that's going to spread that it's a. We have evidence right there, unless it's just like you just said. It's you can't debunk it. It's hard to debunk, right? Now back at that mansion that I was talking about, the one thing that we did get readings on with all those people that were with us was the EMF meters. I mean, we sat there and we had conversations. Hey, make this turn green. We'd ask who it was because we knew the family members. We'd ask them who it was, and it'd go green. And then we'd say, hey, that thank you. You always be respectful of the spirits, and we were asking, did you die here? Go green, and then there were those people that actually died there. There is a cemetery in the back of the house too, where some of the family members that died, so who you're talking to. I honestly believe that we had very good communication based with that, a little bit on the SLS that we couldn't really debunk, but to get to my point, being in that position, trying to make sure that everybody gets the money that gets a bang for their buck, and being real is it's stressing.
Yeah, it is. Now, Rebecca, Electronics was actually waiting for our special guest. I guess our interview. The first guest is in the emergency room. Our second one, everybody knows, is actually hello, Karen. Is actually on an interview right now. So we thought she would be done 40 minutes ago. But we got on this topic of investigator tools and electronics. But now the SLS. Now, if you're using SLS and you got EMF going off with it and you get EVPs, now, just like an investigator, when I do interviews, I look for certain clues and markers. The more clues and markers I get shows me that you are not being fruitful to me or truthful, and you're being deceitful. And those will indicate to me that, yes, then I have a person in my chair that's not being 100% honest, right? Then I can lean towards the same thing with the SLS camera. It's probably being, give me some good results, or give me some results that I can probably baseline with the other tools I'm using, that there is something in this room with us.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion too.
Yeah. And Barb says it does sometimes show creepy stuff. So one thing that was interesting on a hunt that we were on and utilizing SLS, the guy died and his dog died, right at the same, basically at the same time, with very close to each other. So we're walking around with that SLS, and you see, and I'm not a firm believer that if they're showing a great big stick figure that's a adult, but I'm assuming it is, right? But they also have at that particular place, there was a small, little tiny stick figure that was following it around.
Now to me right there, I would be like, now that, once again, that's a indicator that's possibly leaning towards that, because now you got a story, right? So you got some history, and now you're picking that up. Now that would give me an indicator that's probably what you're picking up. To me, that's just my opinion.
And we had done another hunt at actually my brother's house a few years ago, and just in his dining room, there's obviously there's wires in the walls and stuff like that. We knew where they were traced. Always try to figure that out before we do any of that. But we were watching one stick figure show up, two stick figures, and we ended up having three. I think it was four at the most, four stick figures at one time, and you could just go around the room, and they would be jumping as you went. It would completely jump with it, because it takes a minute with an SLS camera to actually focus in on what they're focusing in on. With this, it was really weird, because as you turn it, these four things would follow you almost like spiders on the wall.
No.
It really, really kind of hard to debunk that one too. I'm sure if I sat down and really, really, really thought about it, maybe I could come up with something. But we do know that they had a lot of activity at their house. That's the house where we caught where a lady had passed away many years ago. As we were walking down the stairs, we caught her laughing on tape. We have it on a live. You can hear her giggling. And that's like really the main piece of evidence that I took out of that one, because SLS is awesome, all, but having physically hearing it, and it's on tape, she's just laughing, because what she was doing was, we had a flashlight that had, it had the turn on the top,
right,
and one of our investigators had just used it, and the next, no, it wasn't a turn on the top, it was a button. So she had I'm trying to remember, somehow the flashlight had went off, and it was like a 3-tier flashlight. It'd do a flash, then a strobe light, then something else. And it's always in that order, but it skipped 2 and went to the last one. And as we're walking down the stairs, it's doing that. And that's when we started to hear the laugh. And we thought, well, maybe she's messing with us. But the flashlight thing I can debunk, because, maybe she pressed a button accidentally, and maybe it's just her messing around or something. But you could hear the lady laughing.
And see, that's a good point. Now, don't forget, I had to replace all my cat balls with the ones that had the button that would stick out. Remember, I had to get them recessed, because whatever activity I had in the studio, remember, I would have them taped to the mic stand, and you would hear them click, and they would be turned off. So I had to get them recessed. I had to replace them all, and explain that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty wild. So now let me ask you this: you pass away, you have an opportunity to come back. Would you come back and play games with people?
Yeah, it depends how boring it is where I went.
Oh no, I'm
Yeah.
coming back. Crystal, Yolanda, Rebecca,
I,
all them, Standing Stones, Barb. I'm coming
you're gonna be
back.
typing in this chat, and everybody's gonna be like, "Who is it?" It's gonna be Ghost Grizzly. Grizzly.
Oh, I'm gonna have fun. Denise, FDL, especially FDL. D, I'm definitely coming to D's house and
Yeah,
Catherine's.
I might have to make a
I
special
am.
trip for FDL.
I am. I am. Yeah, she's saying going to Becca's first. And I'm definitely going to be messing with Eric. I'm going to act like a kitty cat. I'll
Yeah.
be, yeah, I'll be messing with all those rim pods and rim balls, turn them off and on while you're sleeping and rolling around on the floor. Yeah, I would have some fun, right? I
What you ought
would.
to do is go to one of them and find one of their old dolls and possess that doll, Grizz.
Oh, Rebecca says, Grizzly, I hope you're not disappointed. I'm gonna have fun, ladies and gentlemen. I would. I would definitely come back.
You know, Eric.
So
Eric brought up the point about a flashlight for answering. We went to Mineral Springs Mall here one time. We were just walking by, and it was like 8 o'clock at night. We had done a another hunt down the street, but where it was the old prison here in Alton, Illinois. There's only one wall left, but they built this huge Ameren electric facility right there, and outdoor, transformers and all that. So we're just picking up all that. That's one of our first hunts. We only had like the EMF and a couple other things. So we're walking by Mineral Springs, and we just walk in, and they were kind enough to let us come in and visit a hunt. And I think it's Riverbend Paranormal was doing the hunt, and they have a pool there, and everybody goes down there. They shut the lights off, and they put flashlights around the pool. And to get to Eric's point, they were just asking questions, and all these lights, when they'd ask a specific question, the lights would turn on. They'd say, "Hey, would you mind turning it on?" There was a little girl that had been killed there many years ago.
oh
She
wow.
drowned inside there, and there's other people that died at the staircases and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought that was really neat because that was like the second or third hunt I'd ever really been on, and I'd never been on a group hunt. This was just us happened to be lucky enough to walk by, and they let us join them. And but yeah, that was really neat to see them answering questions with the flashlight. You try to debunk that because there's you turn it to a certain, it's, if they're the turn ones, you turn it to a certain spot to where barely touch it, it comes on, you barely touch it, it goes off, right? And
Right.
that's what you're hoping, they're giving energy. But the only way that you can debunk it is the contraction of humidity and heat, right? If it contracts, there's a possibility that battery can cause it to contract a little bit. Now, that's a way you can debunk it if it comes on and stays on and never goes off. But these people had it to where they were going on and off with their questions. So that was really, really cool to see that.
Yeah. See, stuff like that's hard to debunk, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. Some of the stuff that people get. Now some of the stuff that I see, I'm not going to break somebody's heart. I'd be like, really? I'm like, no way. I'm like, now you're talking of evidence like that. That's different. When you have intelligence, response, and communication back and forth, that's timed, not random. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking responding back to you intelligently. That's different. Now it's different if I had an EMF detector or whatever, and it's just randomly going off, and I'm trying to answer it
Mm-hmm.
questions, and it's just doing its own thing. Okay, something is around, but it's not communicating. It's just hanging out. That's to me, it's
Yep.
different.
I agree.
So
I agree 100% with you, Chris.
yeah. So y'all, man, I tell you what, for everybody's making fun of me about me coming back, just remember, I have a lot of holy water and a bunch of ointment oil. So you want to play with me when you all go? Grizzly is prepared.
Just
So
don't come scare me.
So Barb's house, I probably run up and down on her house, jumping up and down, sound like a Bigfoot or something, right? And Kat, I'll probably just stack a bunch of stones up in her living room somewhere, in a pile over and over in formation, since she collects rocks and crystals. So yeah, my proton fact. So this is funny. I was gonna get the clip. They got this new water gun, and this thing, it's a laser gun. It's a
Oh,
water gun, but it's a laser gun. So what you do, I was gonna take it I wanted to buy one and take it to the church. It's how you fill it up, and you put it down in the fountain, and you and it looks like laser tag. So when you hit the button, it shoots out water like a hard, like pow,
huh.
like a big shot, like one
Yeah.
little shot. But it comes out like a light, like a laser light. So it's like a water that looks like a tracer.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it looks like a little light that comes out, and it's got like semi-automatic and it's got fully automatic. And I was like,
That would be cool to do at night.
yes,
Oh my
yes. And
God.
when somebody says like a super soaker, yes, I was like, I wonder how much one of those things was. I thought about getting that video clip and showing everybody. I was like, you always like making fun of me about super soakers, but I don't know, because the last time I went to the church and got me some holy water, the older guy looked at me funny, like, what, where's he going with all this water?
Just think if you would have had that and you were in that cemetery and that guy's riding at you with the bicycle. I can
Oh,
see
he
you
would have been wet. I don't know. I don't know if the sad thing about it, I said he would have been wet. I froze. I didn't grab a camera. I didn't film anything. I was in disbelief, and I about wet myself. I thought I was going to die,
That's
because
fun.
out of nowhere, out of the darkness, you saw this half faded subject running towards you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it just, so yes.
Yeah, and it's creepy in cemeteries. We've had that happen before where we're walking through, getting to our the place we're going. It's already pitch dark and there's really no lights around. And up here in Alton, unfortunately, there are some places up where the homeless people go and live. They'll sleep behind the mausoleum, stuff like that. I mean, who's going to bother them at night, right? And you'll see them poke their head out
Ah,
from behind
ah,
something, and you're like,
oh,
"Oh, wait a minute!" You stop
oh
right there in your
no.
tracks, and
Oh
yeah,
no, no,
yeah,
I could not handle that. Bad enough, the guy on the bicycle about damn near gave me a heart attack on live on the show. I couldn't imagine walking around with the camera filming that, trying to film yourself and
oh
trying
yeah,
to do your equipment and stuff, and seeing a head pop. It was bad enough when you're trying to focus, your eyes. Hello there from Easton, Illinois. Welcome to the
oh,
show.
that's where I'm from.
Trying to focus your eyes on the tombstones, and you got those solar lights blinking, because it looked like shadows walking in between the headstones. And
Mm-hmm.
then the mausoleums and stuff, it looked like something was walking back and forth, but I couldn't tell because your eyesight was playing tricks on you. So I couldn't really debunk that. So no, I couldn't handle that. So that's funny.
No, it is definitely a scary thing.
So yes, yeah, we talked before. I do remember. Yeah, absolutely. But what's really funny though is that water gun. I have to find that video for you guys. I don't. It goes pretty far, and when it hits the wall, it actually splatters. Well, of course, it's going to splatter, but I
Oh yeah.
mean, it's got some force behind it. Now it runs off batteries, ladies and
Now,
gentlemen.
does the laser stick with it when it hits the wall? Is the wall? Does it light up when it hits it?
Yes, I don't
Oh
know
man.
how it does it. I don't know how it does it. I don't know. It's weird. You have to see the video. So, but it's pretty wild, and I thought that was pretty interesting. A friend of mine caught out in a graveyard in Scotland, and a homeless man answered him, "Oh, I would have died. I would have died right then and there." Yes. So, ghost dinners are least expensive ones. You serve empty plates and tell them it's a steak dinner. Yeah, right. You know why the ghost got arrested, don't you?
Why?
Possession. That was my joke for
But
Halloween the other
boom.
night. Yeah.
No, that's actually a pretty good one.
Holy water soup. So I got two different holy waters. I got one that's chlorinated, and I don't know what they have in the other one because of I can't say it because of the pandemic. So yes.
Gotcha.
Do you like that, Penny, about the ghost one got arrested? Yeah. So anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. We're our goal is to go to Scotland this year. So if anybody out there knows of any good places in that area, we'd in that country. I'd like to go to the Highlands myself, but if you guys know of any places in the Highlands that might be a good ghost hunt, let us know. Let me know. That'd be great.
That's just so much rich history over there.
I tell you what, all the buildings, they, instead of tearing them down like we do over here, they actually keep them up. They
I just can't believe how much country is over there. How much land?
Oh yeah. I mean, London is massive. It's 4 times the size of, I think it said New York is 4 times the size. But as soon as you get out of there, at least by train, that's all we saw for the most part was by train. But you just saw land after land after land, and every once in a while you might hit a town. And even when we crossed under the channel and went towards Paris, same thing in France. You just be it almost like you're going through Iowa, and then you'd hit a big city.
Right.
But there are very few. It seemed to me like very few small towns in between there, or if it was like a 2-house town.
They don't call them towns; they call them villages.
Yeah, villages.
Yeah. I've watched their. I don't know what they call it over there, but they have this little TV show. It's a reality show where they go over there and did a day, mate. I'm trying to find a house, and then they go to the countryside in these villages and look for homes to buy. And everything's in pounds, and I don't know where squirts are. Are they squirts or pints or what do they call them?
Pints for beer. Yeah.
Or no, what's quid? Is that the other money they use?
Oh, you're talking money. Oh no,
yeah.
Pounds. I should know. Yeah, quid.
Quid. Yeah, I don't know what the hell is a quid.
Pence is is a penny. Pound is $1. I'm not sure the stuff in between. You remember the stuff?
No, FDL would know.
Yeah, FDL would know if he's still on her, but yeah, no. We did get some and we brought some home. We always collect.
Oh, look. Lorna is from Highlands of Scotland.
Oh, there we go.
So there's your connection.
Lorna, I may have to add you.
Penny Van, quid is slang for pound. See, I didn't know that. I thought that was a different currency.
Yeah, I did too. But Lorna, I will have to add you as a friend on Facebook if that's okay. We might have to get together and talk about the Highlands.
Eric said quid is a slang for pound. See, I wouldn't know. I'd be just like, dang it, would you just take American dollars? I'd probably get ripped off. But I think a pound's more than $1, though, isn't it?
It was like $1.37 to our dollar. So we were losing money, or not losing money. We were paying their money, and it was worth more versus ours. So.
Wow.
Now, if you go to Jamaica, it was a lot different. You could have like 10 million Jamaican dollars, and it's worth like $1 here. Yeah, it was. You could be very, very rich. If a person in Jamaica had the average household over there, that if you could retire on $28,000 a year if you moved there, but you'd have to have the job or a retirement of at least $28,000 a year to live comfortably in Jamaica. To live uncomfortably, you just go over there and just hang out with some of the folks, and it's
And they have parishes.
Yeah, and they have parishes is what they call their areas.
Well, hell, I was a monk in a prior life, so I fit right in.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we went to I went to a store over there, and I gave him like 10 American dollars, and the thing I got was like $1.50 American. It was like a soda or something, and they gave me back like $50,000. I'm like, I'm never going to have that much again in my hand at once. I was like, thank you so much. It was just crazy.
Well, prayers are going out to you. We can't say the C word, so
That's
on the air, but we'll give you prayers there for the
that's
pandemic.
Mikey Biner. Hey, Mikey, sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, it's I'm hearing it's really starting to kick up, so my prayers do go out.
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot too. Mikey also talked a little bit about the Lovejoy Cemetery. That's what I was talking about whenever we
Right.
were discussing it earlier about the homeless people. Lovejoy was a abolitionary, abolished slavery. He did not believe in slavery, and they owned the Alton Telegraph was a big newspaper in the area, and he owned the only free press in the area. And they ended up, because he wanted to abolish slavery, they ended up burning down his building and taking the free press that he had, the only press, and it's at the bottom of the Mississippi somewhere. And then they ended up hanging him up on this hill, and that hill has now become Lovejoy Cemetery, where there's tons of people. It's an interesting story. You know, you learn about it as a kid growing up around here.
Yeah, Lorna says yes. Please hit her up.
Will do.
So, yeah, but no, definitely. I don't know why my eyes are like on fire. I don't know why. They're burning like I'm burning incense, but I'm not. So, but yeah, absolutely for the prayers. But no, I'm thinking probably January, February. I'll go ahead and get my passport and start calling my buddies over in UK and be like, all right, so what's my plans? What's my tour going to be for this spring? Because Derry has already got me a place in his apartments across UK and
awesome.
France.
How long are you going to go for?
I don't know. I may go for 2 or 3 months. I don't know.
Oh man, I would if you could do it. I would do it in a heartbeat, man. It's a great place to visit.
But FDL says I think he's got a hotel or somewhere I can stay around there. But I don't know if I'm going to go on tour with EMF or whatever he's doing. But he's got some stuff we're going to do. So I'll probably go there for probably about 90 days or so, probably.
No, man, that's awesome. If we make it, might be able to plan it after you plan your stuff. Whenever we go to Scotland, might be able to maybe do it around that time frame, so we're kind of close. Might be able to hook up in the northern part or something.
So, because he's going to give me a crash course because my slang and their slang is totally different. And he was like, he told me before off air, he's like, you can't say that, Grizzly. I'm like, why not? We say it over here. He's like, because you get a bar fight. So
they all say no worries. That's when you say thank you. They go, no worries. I think that's awesome. We enjoyed it. We enjoyed all the people. FDL, that family there, that group, those guys are great people. Really, really nice people. And I'm proud to say that I know them and that we got to meet them.
That's awesome.
They made us feel at home for the day that we hung out with them. That was great. So.
It's great. Well, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that neither of our guests showed up. One's in the emergency room, and the other one, I got message, is still on her interview, which is awesome. So, but hopefully y'all did enjoy the show, and thanks for tuning in. And next week we got some pretty good lineups and everything for her. So,
Brady Goebel is on next week.
Yep, and don't forget we got that show at 9:00. We got some awesome audio, Barb's telling us, which I'm pretty stoked about that. I don't know why I'm going blind for some reason right now. It's like you know how you burn incense and it's like really too strong? That's what I'm getting right now. Is somebody like in a smoky environment or something in the audience? Because my eyes are running and they're burning. Is anybody in a smoky environment right now? It's got to be somebody in the audience. So, because it's not me, and it's usually I feel like this is when it's somebody that's in the audience or something. No smoke here. No smoke outside. Okay, it's strange.
Yeah, eye drops to Catherine.
Somebody got a fire going or something?
It is that time of year.
Not me. But it is. It's like, this usually doesn't happen. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, Karen. But if y'all do have any questions about the paranormal, and want to come on the show as a guest, let us know. It's a spirit. You can smell them. Why not eyes burn? And I tell you what, I do. Maybe one show that we don't have any guests or nothing planned. I'll get one of my prayer books out and talk about some of the prayers that we can use for some protection and some other stuff that can really
Yeah, that'd
help
be
people.
interesting. Yeah, I think people would really enjoy that.
Well, whoever was out there in the audience listening, just fixed the problem because it just went right away. So that was amazing. So I don't know who it was.
Maybe they blew a
No,
candle out.
it wasn't a migraine. So, but yeah, thanks, Catherine. Another great show in the books. It was just weird.
Yeah,
I don't know. But
well, you're appreciated. You're appreciated, Grizzly.
well, everybody, I appreciate everybody in the audience and you, Tracy, and from coast to coast and around the world, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you on the next show. Take
See you
care.
guys.
Good night. Bye bye.